Do you ever feel like you wake up in the morning with a flat stomach, but by 5 p.m. you look 5 months pregnant, even though you're eating healthy and you're not overeating? So why are you so bloated all the time? Let's talk about what's really going on, because bloat is a symptom. It's not a diagnosis. It's a sign that there's something else happening in your body. And in today's video, we're going to talk about exactly what those root causes of bloat are. If you don't already know me, my name's Leah Barrick. I'm a gut health functional nutritionist that specializes in helping women get rid of bloat and constipation for good. First, let's talk about if you get a little bit of belly expansion after a meal, that's actually normal. What's not normal is when you feel really uncomfortable, when you feel pain, when you feel like you have to unbutton your pants. All of that is a sign that you're bloated and something else is going on. And no, the answer is not just cut dairy or take a random probiotic. Let's break down the root causes of bloat and what's really going on. There are 7 main root causes of why you're so bloated, and we're going to dive into each of them. The 7 major causes of bloat are constipation, gut dysbiosis, low stomach acid, food sensitivities, poor meal hygiene, hormonal imbalances, and stress and nervous system dysfunction. Let's dive in and talk about constipation first. Now, a lot of people might not realize that constipation and slow motility, which is basically how quickly food is moving through your intestines, plays a huge role in bloat. Now, when I'm working with clients, this is actually the first place we start, because if your motility is slow, that will inevitably lead to bloat. What happens is that this food gets stuck in your gut. It's not moving quickly enough. And when that happens, the gut bacteria are over fermenting the food in your gut. And that leads to gases. And those gases make you bloated. Now, constipation tends to increase methane gas. Methane gas increases constipation. So it's this vicious cycle, and it's really important to address motility first whenever you are trying to get rid of bloat. This is really important. Even for clients who are diagnosed with something like SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of practitioners making in this field is they don't hone in and work on motility first, because you can treat the SIBO, you can do a kill protocol and the specific diet and all of these things, but if you don't get to the root cause of slow motility and constipation, it's just going to come back and you're just going to be bloated again. So really important to get to the root cause of that constipation. I find with a lot of my clients, once we fix their constipation and once they're having amazing bowel movements every day, the bloat is totally gone. How to know if you are constipated? You should be having 1 to 3 complete bowel movements per day. Now, there shouldn't be any straining. This should be pretty quick and easy, and you should feel completely empty after going. If this is not the case, you could even be going number 2 multiple times a day, but if it feels incomplete, you're still constipated. Now, the second cause of bloat is gut dysbiosis. What this means is that we have trillions of gut bacteria living in our gut that are doing all different kinds of things for us. A lot of really amazing things, but also they can contribute to some problems if they're not in the right balance. So this could mean either we don't have enough beneficial bacteria or good guys, or we have too much of the bacteria that are kind of the bad guys and can cause issues, including extra fermentation of the foods we're eating. They can also move to the small intestine up from the large intestine where they're supposed to be, and this can also create some fermentation from the food that you're eating, and that can lead to gas. So in order to address this, I typically recommend doing comprehensive stool analysis, which is something I use in my clinic with my patients, because that tells us exactly what your microbiome is doing. It tells us how many of the good guys there are, how many of the bad guys there are, and then it allows us to help rebalance those. The next root cause of bloat is one of the most common things I see in my practice, and this is low stomach acid. This is a huge issue because our stomachs are meant to be very acidic. This is the first line of defense from anything you are eating. And it also helps break down our food, especially our protein. And it helps our body then create other enzymes that are meant to break down our food. So if we don't have enough acid, this slows down the whole process of digestion. And it also means that food doesn't get fully broken down and therefore can get fermented even more as it moves down your digestive tract. This fermentation, of course, creates gas, which makes us bloated. So low stomach acid is a really common thing I see and super important to address. This also ties into constipation. It can be a very common root cause of constipation as well. So super important to address low stomach acid. The next root cause of bloat is something I think we're all guilty of, which is poor meal hygiene. Now, what I mean by this is how we're actually eating our food. Not just what we're eating, not just when we're eating, but are we eating on the run, in our car, rushing to work super late? Are we eating in front of screens, not really focusing? Are we eating when we're in a stress state or a rushed or an anxious state? All of these things negatively impact digestion and can directly impact bloat. So it's really important that we focus on how we are eating our food. And this should be in a calm, relaxed setting, undistracted. So we're not looking at screens, we're not looking at stressful work emails, and we're really chewing our food well. This is really important and is truly a non-negotiable. So working on how you're eating your food to set your body up for success and how it's actually going to digest the food is really essential as well for preventing that bloat. The next root cause of bloat is hormonal imbalances. Now, as a woman, our hormones are changing throughout the month, and these fluctuations in estrogen and progesterone in particular can cause changes to motility, our gut microbiome, and our fluid retention. This is especially true if you're struggling with things like PMS, PMDD, PCOS, anything like that. You might notice you get more bloated at certain times of your cycle. Some women get more bloated around ovulation, other women get more bloated around PMS right before their period. So depending on which hormonal imbalance you have, you might experience one or the other or both. So it's important to address hormonal imbalances as well and get to the root cause of those so that you can heal your bloat. The next root cause of bloat is food sensitivities. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky one because the food in and of itself is not actually the root cause of why you are bloated. However, sometimes when we have foods that our body's especially sensitive to, it can create bloat when we eat that specific food. However, the way around this is not to remove that food forever. I see a lot of people making this mistake. They figure out that they respond negatively or they get bloated from certain foods, and then they start avoiding all of these foods indefinitely. That is something we don't want to do because the hallmark of a healthy gut and a healthy gut microbiome is diversity. We want the widest diversity of microbes in our gut that we can get, and the number one way to do this is to eat a diverse diet, meaning many different foods. Anytime we're cutting foods out, that puts us at risk of having less diversity. Now, sometimes in the short term for symptom management, it is necessary or at least helpful to remove these foods or decrease these foods for a certain amount of time while we get to the root cause, because the food is not the root cause. We need to work on rebalancing the gut microbiome, training the gut, healing any leaky gut or inflammation that might be happening, and then reintroducing the food. But for the short term and for symptom management, sometimes people do find it helpful to remove these foods while you heal the gut, but it's absolutely essential to bring those foods back in so we don't end up with a really restrictive diet. The last and certainly not least root cause of your bloat is stress and nervous system dysregulation. Now, this is one of the hardest things for a lot of people to address because we live in a stressful world. A lot of us don't pay a lot of attention to how stressed we are, but this is truly the thing that moves the needle with a lot of my clients, especially if you've been struggling for bloat for a very long time and have tried all the things. Now, this is so important because we need to regulate our parasympathetic nervous system. This is our rest and digest nervous system, and just as the name suggests, we need it to actually digest our food. Now, most of us are chronically in this sympathetic nervous system state where it's fight or flight. We're high stress, high anxiety, rushing, we're stressed about work or money or family or whatever. And this actually shuts down all of our digestive processes. It actually even moves the blood flow from your gut out to your extremities because your body does not know the difference between a work stressor and running from a tiger. Our bodies think that with this stressor, we need our blood in our extremities, in our arms and our legs so that we can run away from the tiger. This means that that blood flow is not going to our gut to help with digestion and to help with healing. So it's really important that we're in that parasympathetic state to actually heal our gut, to actually get to the root cause, to actually bring the gut microbiome back into balance, to actually make sure we have our adequate stomach acid levels, to heal our hormones, to actually digest our food properly and create those enzymes that we need. So the stress really ties into all of these other root causes as well. It's all interconnected. It's not just one of these things contributing to bloat, but it's absolutely essential. You could be eating the healthiest diet in the world, but if you're not addressing stress, you're not going to get to the root cause of your bloat. Now, if you're nodding your head and you're thinking, this is me, oh my gosh, I'm struggling with all of these things, like that is definitely happening for me. I see you. I help so many women with bloat and with constipation get to the root cause of their bloat, of their gut issues, so that they can get rid of the bloat. And I know how frustrating and uncomfortable bloat and constipation can be. It's not in your head. You're not broken. Your body has an amazing ability to heal, and there is a path forward. If you're interested in getting some one-on-one support and getting to the root cause of your bloat, you can schedule a free call with me. I will drop that in the bio. And if you're looking for a toolkit for the right here, right now to help you get rid of bloat fast, I have a Beat the Bloat free toolbox that you can download, also in my bio. And this is super helpful if you just want some quick relief, you're struggling, maybe you have a flare, and this can really just help give your body some relief and get some comfort fast. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe. Make sure you do and hit that bell so you know every time I have a new video, and I will see you next time.